Hi everyone, we just ended our Zoom and now you guys are watching my YouTube video for today's math lesson. So it says Math Book, Lesson 3, Chapter 1. You only have one YouTube video to watch, which is the one you're listening to now. You're going to follow along in your book as I complete the problems, and then you're going to see what you are assigned to do. So do not guess and just pick some random problems. You need to do the assignments that I state at the end of this video. So it's important you watch the whole video. And then you come back and join me for Zoom at 10 when we go over the answers and do our math station. All right, here we go. So you're in your math book. I want you to turn to Lesson 3. Lesson 3 is on page 23 in your math book. So go ahead and turn to page 23 and we're going to get started. We're going to start talking a little bit about fractions and decimals as they relate to place value. The reason is because when we have a number that looks like this, 1 and 2/10, we have a 1 in the ones place, but now we're working with numbers that come after a decimal. This 2 is in something called the tenths place. And you guys have that on your place value chart if you need to get that out, right? After the decimal, we have all of these numbers and we have certain places for those numbers, the tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths. So as we go through, we're going to start representing these decimals as a fraction, okay? Now, don't let fractions scare you. Once I show you what it means, you guys are really just going to be shading today, like this girl is here in this picture, okay? So it says, use a model to show 3/10, then write it in word form and as a decimal. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Just watch first and then you'll know what to do. Our model is 3 out of 10. That's our fraction. So it wants us to shade 3 columns out of the 10. So notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 columns. We're only going to shade 3 because that was our fraction. So go ahead and shade 3. And be careful when you do this. You want to make sure you are only shading 3, not 4. Okay. This model, so now that we drew it, this model in word form shows 3/10. In decimal form, it's 0 and 3/10. So, right, that's what we have here, 0.3. Because it's 3 in the tenths, I can represent that as drawing 3 out of 10. Okay, let's try it again down here. Now we're working with a hundreds model. So I have 100 on the bottom of my fraction. Our fraction is 9 out of 100. So we need to shade 9 of all the small squares out of the 100. We're only going to shade 9. So I know that there's 10 in a column. So I'm just going to go down and do 9, but not shade that one because I only want 9. So I have 9 out of 100. That was our fraction, and now I shaded it. Now let's represent that as a fraction. I'm sorry, in word form. So this, you would say this fraction is 9/100ths. So that would be 9/100ths. So if I wrote that as a decimal, it would be 0.09 because I have a 9 sitting in the hundredths place. Okay, so again, the fraction is 9 out of 100. That means that if I wrote it as a decimal, it would be a 9 sitting in the hundredths place, which I have right here. So look at this, 9 in the hundredths place. I don't have anything in the tenths because it wasn't 29 or 39. It was just 9 in the hundredths. And I can represent that as a model by shading 9 out of the 100. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what your assignment is for today. I'm only going to have you working on page 25. 25. I'm going to do some examples and then you're going to do the rest, and I'll show you that in just a second. So we're going to do the same thing. We're just shading and then writing it in word form. So this, if I read this out loud, this fraction, I would say 7/10. So you're going to write that down, 7/10. because it wants it in word form. So we just did the word form, and now it wants you to shade it, 7 out of 10. So that's all you're going to do. You're going to shade 7 out of 10. There you go. All right, let's go do one of these. 63 out of 100. So if you say this properly, it would be 63 hundredths. So I'm going to write that down. 63 hundredths. Okay, we have that different spelling because we're working with numbers in a decimal. Okay, hundredths. So I need to shade 63 out of 100. So go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. There's 60 if I shade all those. And then there's 3 more after that. So 1, 2, 3. So I just did 63 out of 100. Okay, I want you to go ahead and do 5, 6, 7, and 9. I want you to do all of those, all right? Go ahead and pause the video and do that, and then you can unpause, and then I'm going to show you how to do this one. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to write the decimal based on the model. So now we're working backwards. The first thing I want you to realize is that notice that there's 10 models here, but these ones are in hundreds. So you know that the decimal, let me do this first. Let me go ahead and do the fraction because that'll help. So this is 2 out of 10. So that would look like this as a fraction, right? 2 tenths. This one would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This would be 8 tenths. This would be, I got to count, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. This would be 17 out of 100. And this one, I'll skip over here, is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 60, and then 2 away from 70. So that would be 68. So this is 68 out of 100. You can go ahead and do 12 and 14, okay? But I will do these for you since it's a little bit more difficult. So now they want me to just write the decimal form of this model. So everybody say 2 tenths. That means I need a 2 sitting in the tenths spot. So that would be 0.2. Because remember, on your place value chart, the tenth spot is right behind the decimal. Okay, so have this out to help you know where to place the digits. This is 8 tenths, so this would be 0.8 because I needed 8 in the tenth spot. I want you to do number 12. Write the fraction, then write it as a decimal. This is 17 hundredths, so I need 17 sitting in the hundredths place. So that would actually look like this. And here's why. When I read this, I have 17, but this digit is sitting in the hundredths place, which is good because it's out of 100. So hundredths, the 7 is sitting in the hundredths place. I'll do number 15. You guys do 14 on your own. 68 hundredths. So that would be, again, decimal 68. This 8 is sitting in the hundredths place. All right. So go ahead and do number 12 and 14. And then at the top, if you haven't yet, you have 5, 6, 7, and 9. When I see you guys for math stations, we will go over the answers, okay? So you guys finish those problems, and I will see you all in a little bit for math stations in our Zoom.